Hi, I'm Carter Wilson, USA Today bestselling author and writing coach, and welcome to Motivations for Writers. Today is simple and specific. You get better at writing by writing. And the only way to build a book is through consistency. Perfection, it doesn't exist. And chasing it keeps you from the one thing that actually improves your work: getting words on the page. Let's start with the obvious thing most of us forget. If perfect books existed, every classic or bestseller would sit at a spotless 5 stars. They don't. Readers disagree. Tastes shift. Even the most beloved novels have choices another writer would make differently. That's normal. That's what makes books amazing. So waiting for the perfect idea, the perfect first sentence, or the perfect mood is waiting for something that's just never going to arrive. When you wait for perfect, you don't write. And when you don't write, you don't learn. Consistency is what's real. Words on the page are real. A page today, another tomorrow, and another the next day. Those pages stack up. The hardest part of being a writer isn't revising or publishing. Yes, those are hard. But the most difficult part is finishing that first draft. Finishing a draft requires sitting down and moving forward even when you dislike what you're producing. It means writing through awkward sentences, scenes that you know are flat, and confusing beats so you have something to improve. You can't refine a blank document, but you can always refine a messy one. Your mind is going to offer you so many reasons to delay. Those reasons will sound practical, protective. They'll say you don't have time, that you should wait until you feel inspired. Your mind will suggest you read one more book on craft or outline a few more weeks. It'll compare your rough pages to a polished novel you love and declare you unworthy. None of this helps you write your book. These are old habits trying to keep you comfortable. Comfort is not where a book gets built. A book gets built inside repeated actions. So if you want a reliable frame for your writing life, think in 2 parts. Show up, then improve. Show up means you sit down and produce new words. Improve means you revise those words with a clear intent. During the first part, just show up. Lower the bar. Give yourself a minimal target you can hit on your worst day. That might mean 15 minutes or 200 words. Hit it even when you don't feel like it. On good days, go longer. This is a low floor, high ceiling practice. The low floor, what it does is it protects you from shame spirals. And the high ceiling lets momentum carry you when it's there. Rituals can help. Keep them simple. Same hour, same chair, same mug, same playlist. You're training your brain. When these cues appear, we write. You can do what I do, 1 hour every day, 7 days a week at the same coffee shop. It's not fancy. It's repeatable. And if you can't keep the exact time, keep the sequence. 1 deep breath. Read a line that you wrote yesterday. Type a line for today. Even that's enough to shift you from hesitation into motion. Expect resistance in those first few minutes, and that's totally normal. I feel those every day. After 20 plus years of doing this, lots of days I feel that resistance. Treat the first 5 to 10 minutes of your writing practice as the cost of starting. Pay it with motion, typing, not debating. Once you're moving, the session usually settles in. And if you only have a small window of time, trade scope for intensity. 15 minutes of focused writing will serve your book more than 2 distracted hours. And use small tools to remove friction. Try this 2-sentence rule. On your worst day, write 2 sentences. Chances are you'll write more, but even if you don't, you've stayed connected to the work and tomorrow will be easier. Or try the 10-minute bridge. Promise yourself you can quit after 10 minutes. Starting is the hard part, but once you start, quitting is less appealing. Try frictionless reentry, end each session by leaving a clear note for tomorrow. A note like, start with Ava opening the glove box. She finds the photograph. You'll begin faster because the decision is already made. Let's talk about the inner critic. It isn't going away. It has a lifetime contract with you, and that's fine. Your job is to limit when it gets a vote. Label that critic so you can talk to it. Call it, the director, the committee, the evil clown, or simply the critic. When it shows up during drafting, acknowledge it and keep writing. Thanks for the note. Noted, we're drafting. During revision, give it a real job. Ask it specific questions. Where is clarity weak? Where am I hedging with my words? Which cliches can I cut? Specific tasks will channel that critic into service. And it's important to remember the difference between discovery and design. Drafting is discovery. You explore what the story wants, what your characters do when pressure rises, what details feel alive. Revision is design. You shape what you discovered so it communicates clearly and lands with impact. If you demand perfect design during discovery, you're just going to shut down discovery. And if you never invite design after discovery, you waste your material. You got to keep those modes separate, and that's how your process stays clean. Consistency changes your identity. At first, writing feels like an event that requires planning, energy, and luck. With repetition, it just becomes part of who you are. You stop asking, do I feel ready? And start acting from identity. I'm a writer, so I write. The action doesn't rely on a perfect mood. It relies on a straightforward promise you keep with yourself. That's discipline, not punishment, not grit for grit's sake. Discipline is self-respect scheduled in advance. Two realities can coexist. You don't feel like writing today, and you can write today. If you want help bridging that gap, set if-then rules ahead of time so you're not negotiating in the moment. Might look like this. If I stall, then I'll free write for 5 minutes without using backspace. If I pick up my phone, then I'll put it in another room and restart a 10-minute timer. If I run out of time, then I'll write 2 sentences and leave a note for tomorrow. You're creating rules that protect momentum. And momentum matters more than mood. Your feelings are information, not commands. If you feel flat, write the flat sentence. If you feel raw, write the raw scene. Let the exact weather of your inner life reach the page. Trust your instinct, your subconscious. Later, you can always elevate, tighten, or cut, but the first job is to keep moving. The second job is to improve what you moved onto the page. And the great thing is repetition compounds. A page a day, that can be a book in a whole year. You write 2 pages a day, that could be 2 books every 3 years. The math isn't complicated. The challenge is consistency. Streaks can help if they motivate you. Hash marks on the calendar, a chain of days in your notes app, or just a simple spreadsheet of minutes and words. But if streaks cause stress, switch to weekly non-zero, meaning aim for 5 writing days a week and celebrate every week you hit it. If you miss a day, you didn't fail, you fell forward. Re-enter tomorrow. And as you become consistent in your characters, you'll notice they're going to start meeting you halfway. Ideas will arrive as you shower or on a walk because they trust you to catch them at the desk tomorrow. And you also stop dramatizing bad days. A thin writing session isn't a crisis, it's just a rep. You lift again. You're not chasing a mood. You're building a body of work. So let's walk through a practical writing block from start to finish. Before you begin, pick a small, specific goal for today. Write it down. Could be like, draft the confrontation in chapter 12 through the moment the door closes. Or revise the opening paragraph of chapter 2 for clarity and cadence. If your target is drafting, keep your attention on discovery. What each character wants, what stands in the way, or what they do next. If your target is revision, pick a single lens. Clarity, continuity, or rhythm. Using one lens per pass is going to prevent overwhelm. Now, set your starting ritual. Maybe 1 breath with a hand on the sternum, 1 line read from yesterday, 1 line typed for today, phone in another room, timer on, begin. You can expect the first minutes to feel a little clunky. Just keep moving. And when a sentence refuses to land, bracket a note to your future self, like transition missing or need a stronger verb here or fact check the distance. Just keep going. Brackets are a promise you'll fix it later. They aren't a reason to stop now. When a larger doubt shows up, like this plot might not be working, this character isn't compelling, capture it on a separate list labeled revision questions. This is what I do. I always keep a side document where I can just spitball ideas or make notes that I'm going to remember, but I never let it stop me from writing. Most problems reveal themselves more clearly once the draft exists. Let the future you solve future problems with a full view of the work. If you hit a wall, use constraints to restart. Try a timed sprint. 5 minutes of fast typing without stopping, or you can try a focus question like, what does this scene want emotionally? Who wants what? And what goes wrong? Answer in 1 or 2 lines and return to the scene. constraints narrow your options and reduce the cognitive load that fuels avoidance. And when you finish the session, leave a note for tomorrow. 1 or 2 lines is enough to preload the next start. Stop in the middle of a small piece of momentum when you can. That carryover makes the following day faster to enter. And let's talk about numbers. Word targets are personal. Some writers thrive at 1,000 words in a sitting, others at 250. For me, if I'm writing an hour a day on an active draft, I'm happy with 500 words. 650 to 750 is better. If it ends up only being 200 words, that's okay as well. Word count targets are helpful for drafting. Time targets are useful for another mode. If you use both, let time be the guardrail and words be the goal. And a quick note on comparison. It's hard not to compare what you're writing to other works. But comparing your draft to a published novel is like comparing raw footage to a finished film. You're not seeing the rewrites, the months of decisions, the editor's notes, or the cuts. You're seeing the result of process layered over time. Respect your own process enough to give it time. Write the pages, then shape them. Don't ask a day one scene to carry day one perfection. Just ask it to exist. Now, the inner critic again, because it's persistent. Give it hours. Drafting hours are a no critic zone. Put a sign on your monitor if you need to. Revising happens after pages exist. When you do invite the critic in, use a checklist so it stays on task. Clarity. Is the meaning obvious on first read? Continuity. Are motivations and facts aligned with earlier chapters? Cadence. Do sentence lengths vary in a way that supports tone? Diction. Are there cliches or fillers to cut? These questions turn the critic into a partner. And now, a word about energy. You won't always have it, and that's okay. Plan for your average days, not your perfect ones. The point of a low-floor practice is to keep the thread intact. If today is rough, meet your minimum. Tomorrow can carry more weight. The thread's survival is more important than any single day's output. And maybe you're wondering where inspiration and the muse comes into play in all of this. Those things are not a prerequisite. They're a byproduct. Most of the time, inspiration shows up after you begin, not before. Starting creates the conditions for it. Waiting turns the promise into another day of avoidance. You need to trust that motion will attract clarity. And you'll feel it. You'll feel it click. Now let's clean up 2 common confusions: standards and certainty. Of course, standards matter. You want to produce strong work, but standards are applied at the right time. During drafting, ask, what is this trying to do? During revision, ask, how can I make it 10% clearer or stronger? Certainty is different. Certainty demands guarantees before action. Writing offers none. If your inner demand is, prove this will work before I write it, you're not going to write it. Replace certainty with clarity. Choose a direction. Try it learn from the result. You may worry that writing bad words will hardwire bad habits, but the opposite is true. Writing anything builds fluency. Revision builds precision. And together they build mastery. You're not practicing failure when you write imperfectly. You're practicing the muscle of turning vague thought into concrete language on a schedule. That's the professional skill. And here's a simple weekly structure you can try. 5 drafting days. Maybe a low floor of 15 minutes or 200 words and a high ceiling as whatever time and energy allow. 1 revision day, pick 1 lens and run through a defined section. And 1 rest or reading day. This is when you refill but without losing contact. Jot down a note if an idea arrives. You need to adjust to your life. If weekends are free, stack longer sessions there and keep weekdays to the minimum. If mornings are best, protect mornings. If you have to write at night, reduce decision fatigue during the day. Decide the scene and the first sentence at lunch so the evening session starts hot. And in talking about tracking, just use the simplest tool you'll actually use. A notebook with daily check marks, that works just fine. A spreadsheet with date, minutes, words, and a brief comment works. Apps work if they don't become another form of procrastination. For me, at the end of every writing session, at the end of those hours, if I'm doing an active draft, I highlight the words and check the count and just make a mental note. The point of tracking is proof. Proof dissolves stories that you tell yourself, stories like, I never get anything done. Well, you did. The tracking says so. Here are some common pitfalls and simple fixes. Overplanning instead of drafting. If you've outlined for weeks and you still haven't written the scene, stop at a 1-paragraph plan and just draft it now. Outline more after you've seen the characters move a little. Or tool chasing. New apps won't save you. Stick with what you have. Add tools only when they solve a specific pain you felt 3 times. Research loops. If a fact stalls you, bracket it and keep drafting. Batch those questions later. Don't fall down a research rabbit hole while you're actively drafting. Scenes that feel too big. Slice the scene. Right from the beat where tension turns. Backfill the setup and revision. Vague aim. If a scene won't land, answer 3 questions on a sticky note. Who wants what? What's in the way? What changes by the end? Keep the note in sight while you draft. Endless tinkering. If you've revised the opening 10 times and you haven't touched the rest of the book, cap your passes. Reach the midpoint before opening chapter 1 again. Let's return to the core idea. You can improve by producing words consistently and then shaping them. That's it. No tricks, no waiting, no punishing yourself for not being brilliant today, no chasing perfection. Write what's possible today. Trust your future self to improve it. Repeat tomorrow. The more you honor that cycle, the more your instincts sharpen. You start hearing where a sentence drags. You start sensing where a scene wants to turn. You catch yourself before you reach for a cliche. That sensitivity is earned through time on task, and I will tell you, It took me hundreds and hundreds of thousands of words before I found what I consider to be my voice. So if this is the first thing you're writing and you're not happy with it, you have to reframe it, not as a failure, but as a learning tool. And sometimes the best thing to do is to have gratitude for the words you've written and move on. Last, let's talk about regret, because us writers, we tend to live in a world of regret. But I can tell you, you're not going to regret bad pages. What you'll do is either cut them or improve them. But you are going to regret blank days protected by the idea that you were just maintaining standards. Standards are honored in revision. The draft is simply honored by just being written. So here's your plan for the next week. 1, pick a daily minimum you can hit even on your worst day. 2, set a simple start ritual you can run in under a minute. 3, decide today's small specific target before you open your document. 4, use one friction tool. The 2-sentence rule, the 10-minute bridge, or frictionless reentry. 5, end with a note to tomorrow. And 6, track your session in the simplest way possible. That's it. 6 moves. Repeat them, adjust as needed, keep the thread. Perfection is a distraction. Consistency is a decision. Make the decision small, repeat it often, and you'll just watch those pages add up. That's how a book gets written. That's how you get better. You don't need permission, certainty, or a flawless mood. You need motion, attention, and time. So write what's possible today. Trust yourself to make it better later. Show up again tomorrow. Stop chasing perfect. Start stacking proof. Let your book grow the way books actually grow. Imperfectly, consistently, and in public, backed by private courage. I'm writing anyway. Join me.